because now there are a lot more characters from the lore of Sonic the Hedgehog, right? Like, again, Tails and Knuckles, and plus we get into some history of some of this stuff, like the Echidna tribe,
Gemstone,
and the Chaos Emeralds,
like stuff that I feel like most video game movies would just, it's like, oh, the normies cannot handle this. They can't. Sonic has a tribe. What are you talking about? No, he just runs fast. But no, they leaned into it really hard. And it works.
But and to your point, I think that's all the stuff that works the most in the movie. And like bringing in things like, if Tails came in, for example, there's a couple things about Tails. One, he is really young as a character, and he's a younger kid, and he really looks up to Sonic. If they had wrecked that in this movie, like if Tails had come in and he'd be like a tough badass, kind of like, whatever, like that wouldn't work, right? And it would make everybody mad because it's not Tails. Similarly, if he didn't have the sort of technical ability and create gadgets and have all these things, and that was honestly in one of the human moments, one of the best parts that involved people was the part where there's a section in there where James Marsden's wife and her sister are trying to rescue him. They're trying to rescue him. And they sort of stumble on Tails' backpack filled with gadgets, and they have no idea what they do. So they're doing all kinds of insane stuff with his gadgets. But like, if that wasn't taken into account, or if and actually, like you mentioned, Idris Elba, I think he's kind of a great Knuckles, like you need somebody who's just really tough and kind of scary, and somebody who really doesn't have a sense of humor. And Idris Elba actually does obviously have a sense of humor, but he plays such a tough guy so well that it works, it really works. And it's amazing to me how simple the formula is, right? Like, there's no political preaching. There's no, sort of, this is 2022, like sort of creeping into the movie, and it all just takes the source material relatively seriously.
This was a movie made by people who understood the assignment. They knew exactly who their audience was, and they made a movie for them. And because they had that in mind, because they were so targeted on pleasing Sonic superfans, that it has a much broader appeal because it's a good story.
Yeah, just for them. And so I'll give a little spoiler warning for this. I kind of feel like it's a movie that I don't really feel like it matters if you spoil too much, but because you kind of know what's going to happen, regardless. But when we get to the end of the movie and Jim Carrey, Dr. Robotnik gets his hand on the Master Emerald, which is the big MacGuffin of the movie. Like they want to find this Master Emerald, which is it's funny. The funny thing is I actually never thought about it this way because it was long. Like I grew up with this and it was way before I read any Marvel comics or anything, but it's the Infinity Gauntlet. Right? Like it's literally the Infinity Gauntlet. I mean, it's funny to me because my understanding of it was so detached from, knowing anything about Marvel, and it happened way earlier than I was aware of Thanos or any of that stuff. But it is basically a bunch of Chaos Emeralds, maybe 5 of them or 6 of them coming together, right, to be the the Master Emerald, which is basically a source of unlimited power and can convert your thoughts into reality and that kind of thing. And so, of course, the big final battle is Dr. Robotnik gets it, and he gets the unlimited power that he's been seeking for a long time. And what's amazing to me about it is that you can think about all these other movies that have been made that have these sort of opportunities to really dive into something that the fans are going to want, and then goes a different direction. So say the Josh Trank Fantastic Four, right? Fan Four Stick movie, right? Like you have Doctor Doom, And all you want as a fan of Doctor Doom is to see him in his armor and see him with all of the power that he's supposed to have and do all this stuff. And then instead you get something that is just not even close to what that is. And what Sonic did that I loved, and honestly, I probably even turned to Jen at the time. I was like, oh my God, they're going to do it, which is a giant Robotnik robot, which looked like the giant Robotnik robots from the games, which if you do the math like studios often do, and I mean, they still do it. They used to do it all the time, where they're like, yeah, but that just looks really weird in real life. It looks really weird to do. It's like when Bryan Singer did X-Men, you know, all the studio notes were like, you got to put him in black leather because they can't have, you know, Cyclops can't be wearing blue spandex and have a weird, you know, yellow strap around his, like, you can't do any of that, right? You can't give Wolverine like his classic costume. But by not doing that, you're actually doing disservice to the fans in a lot of ways, and you're just doing disservice to the character, because that's part of what people have identified with them for so long.